Father, we do want you, we need you. And I do pray that your presence may fill this place as you fill the place of all people that worships today. May your name and your name alone will be glorified. Amen. So, good morning. As we continue our study, as you well know, we're in the book of Philippians. Last week lang na we deviated whenever I feel that God calls me to teach another passage. But today we're continuing our study in Philippians. You know, I realize it's almost November. We started the study of book of Philippians November last year. So I was hoping we finish it by the end of the year, really. So it's my desire that we finish this book of Philippians by December, so that by come January we'll study the book of Genesis, God willing. And I'm really excited as I continue to prepare and study that. Today's message is entitled Are you an atheist? It's a very weird title. In fact, I just thought of it this morning. I was telling my wife, I was working on, because I normally work the message the whole week. And normally it's the Saturday before that, which is last night, the crunch time, I really put myself into it. And I was working the message around until 3:30 this morning. And as I woke up around 7:05, and I was asking God, what would be the title? It's an obvious, it's a passage that we're so familiar. And the title that God gave me, at least in my heart, is the question, are you an atheist? I think especially in our country, none will admit. We're known to be a Roman Catholic, a Christian country. I remember when I was growing up, one of the things that my parents taught me, a coin answer is, the Philippines is the only Christian country in Southeast Asia. It's one of the things that I was taught. So to think of it as, to ask such a question is typically unheard of. You would go to Europe, you go to Switzerland, Netherlands, or that type of country, there's a lot of atheists there. Right? In the US, I think there are quite a number. But in the Philippines, it's far in between. Are you an atheist? But I submit to you that this is a relevant question. Because we might not realize it, but we might be guilty of being an atheist. But we would say, Bob, impossible. I believe in Christ, I believe in God, I believe in all these things. I'm religious. How can I be an atheist? Well, let's look at the passage today and let's explore what my thesis is this morning. Next. As we move to the book of Philippians, we're in chapter 4. It's the ending of the chapter. It says, be anxious for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all comprehension, will guard your hearts and your mind in Christ Jesus. As you know, as we study the book of Philippians, Paul is in prison. He's there in prison for the last 2 years or so, chained between two Praetorian guards, one on his right, around 8 to 10 inches of chain separating him and the guard to the right, and to the left, another guard. And there, he was there waiting for the verdict. The possible verdict here is he will be put to death. Not that great of a scenario, right? In jail for a crime that you didn't commit, about to be put to death, there rotting for 2 years. Yet, he writes a letter to Philippi, the church that he really loves. He loves it because he was the one that founded it in Macedonia. He went there, as we learned, he went there, and there was no church. They saw a group of women by the river, Lydia, a successful businesswoman, and a church was formed there. And from that time on, they haven't seen each other for the past 10 years, and they were about 800 miles apart. From that time on, the church in Philippi never forgot Paul. They were so grateful that they were always sending money to him. They were always supporting him. That despite the fact that they eventually became poor, they still wanted to support him. That's why Paul was saying that you have partnered with me from the start. There was no other church that is like you, who was so committed to the cause of Christ. But as the church was becoming poor, in fact, the Bible tells us they became extremely poor. Unbelievable talaga. I can't forget it. They were extremely poor, but not poor enough to be able to still give to God. And sometimes hindi nga tayo poor, we don't give. Ito, extremely poor. Yet, they compelled Paul, allow us this service. Allow us this opportunity to serve our God despite the little means that we have. Oh, the tightness of Paul and the church was really, really tight. But like any situation in life, when there is stress, right? When there is persecution, when there is trouble, what happens? There's a lot of infighting. Go first to Philippians chapter 1. Let's look at that. Philippians chapter 1, verse 28 says, "In no way alarmed by your opponents, which is a sign of destruction for them, but of salvation for you, and that too from God. For to you it has been granted, for Christ's sake, not only to believe in Him, but also to suffer for His sake, experiencing the same conflict which you saw in me, and now here to be in me." So, we know from the passage that there was trouble, there was persecution. You're being persecuted na, mahirap ka pa. Wow! Isn't that a stressful situation? And normally in a family, if there are stresses brought about by external factor, what happens? Couples fight. They tend to fight a lot. Exactly what's happening here. Remember, in chapter 4, the earlier part, Lydia and Syntyche, the two alpha women, were fighting within the church. And the church is in the brink of being divided. Why? It does not tell us why they were fighting, which means that they were fighting because of minor things, nothing theological. Paul was not correcting any wrong teaching. But maybe because of the stress. They're being persecuted. Their financial situation is tight. Everybody's uptight. Everybody is jittery. Konting ganun, if I'm in the house, it's by God's grace, I'm able to tell my family, guys, I'm stressed, so relax, don't don't move, if possible, don't breathe. and it allows me to it helps our family dynamics that no one rubs me the wrong way if I'm kind of a little stressed out in the office. I tell them, guys, can you just tone down? Can you just not fight first in front of me and get stressed? And I'm already stressed. And here they were fighting. It is because of this, Paul continues and says to them, be anxious for nothing. Wow, that's so easy to say. Especially if you're not the one stressed out. If you're not stressed out, then that's fine. But when troubles hits you, man, it's easy to be anxious. I was studying the word anxious. That word really is not negative. It means to care. The root word means to care. It's like take care of your wife, or take care of your family, take care of the world's affair. It's being in fact responsible, taking care. But it's also used in a negative sense. It's used as being anxious or worrying. So therefore, it says, be anxious or don't worry for nothing. The Bible defines anxious here, and I will read the definition, as an apprehension about possible danger or misfortune, and is characterized by extreme uneasiness of mind, of brooding fear about some contingency, and emphasize of fear of frustration, failure, or disappointment. The funny thing there is that etymology of the word comes from a German word, anxiety or worry. The word is Würgen. Do you know the meaning of the word Würgen in German? It means to strangle, to choke. So how do you know that your care or your concern has become anxiousness and worry, which the Bible tells us not to do? You would know that when you are feeling choked, when you're feeling strangled. If the situation in your life to you is causing you to run out of breath, you are now anxious. You have crossed the level of just, I'm concerned. I'm concerned for my daughter. Vis-a-vis, I'm anxious. I can't breathe. I can't act rational anymore. It's as if somebody's strangling me. That pressure, that feeling, that's being anxious. Now, the thing is, what are people anxious about? I was thinking about it. Honestly, it's about anything and everything. Right? People, they get anxious about their health. Oops, may sakit. Praning na, akala mamamatay. Right? And they worry and worry and worry a lot. And if you're like a typical guy, you'll never go to the doctor. Right? Ako, even if I don't know, Madam P, if you're easy to go to the doctor, but me, I don't like going to the doctor, even if I'm not feeling well. Unless it's a toothache. And a toothache, no choice, it's painful. But other things, I'll let it pass. What causes us to be anxious?